What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. We have a lot of stuff to go through today, including a quick look at the madness that is the Pokemon Switch leaks and just overall craziness about it. I'm going to look at it and really see why you might as well just hang out and wait for an announcement, because it doesn't look like we're going to be waiting that much longer, which is, trust me, a good thing. Now, we're also going to go over some quick pieces of news, but first, I want to talk quickly about what we did over the weekend. If you missed it, we had our weekly Spawncast, which was a lot of fun because we talked about Nintendo Online and all kinds of stuff that happened last week, including all of the Walmart leaks and Bethesda being mad about it. Well, we went through all of that. It was a lot of fun. We also took a look at Battle Chasers Night War, so if you're curious about how that is coming along for the Switch, did a video on that. And then we also took a look at the Switch Charge and the weird situation with GameStop and their CEO leaving after 3 months. You can check all of that out in the card above, guys, if you're curious about any of that. First, though, let's get into some of the quick news here. Rage 2 is more than likely getting announced today. They kind of teased it yesterday with a tweet that they put out that seemed to be like a Windows directory that just points to an announcement from the official Rage Twitter account. And of course, this comes kind of right after Walmart leaked all of these titles, Rage 2 being one that I don't think anyone was like, oh yeah, cool, Rage, when's that happening? No one was thinking about it. Pete Hines kind of made fun of Walmart for it, and then, of course, the Twitter account had been making fun of it for a while, even made it their entire Twitter header, their whole banner. So it looks like, yes, Rage 2 is getting announced today. Would it have been announced if Walmart had not put that leak out? Probably not. This seems to be kind of a reactionary thing from the Rage account and Bethesda after Walmart kind of spoiled the surprise for us, but in another sense, we get to take a look at Rage 2 ahead of E3, unless they don't tell us anything and they just put out a title and say check back at E3 at their presser that they're going to do, where Bethesda is doing a whole event. Also, interestingly enough, Valve has been paying white hat hackers quite a bit of money to find issues with Steam and just any entry points into Steam at all. And it's pretty interesting to see because they have now paid out over $100,000 to white hat hackers, and they just started this account May 7th. That's right, it's been like a week, and they've paid out $100,000 to hackers to find any exploits. Again, this is something that Nintendo has been doing as well, where they are paying off hackers for their entry points or anything they're doing. It's a good way for hackers to make money, and it's a good way for companies to patch up their security holes. It just shows you guys, seriously, in any business, money talks. Money is the most powerful driving factor in anything. But for today, guys, after all of that, let's get started. So these Pokemon leaks are everywhere, and if you haven't really been following too much, I haven't really talked about them much since, oh man, what was it, weeks ago, where I mentioned kind of a leak about it that was going on, and I started to realize that there are so many coming out. It seems like people really want to know about this Pokemon game, so much so that any little thing that comes out and it's even talked about or reported on, people go absolutely crazy. And I'm so happy that it looks like we're at least, I think, coming to the end of that, as we expect at E3 to be shown something. But as I've said before, with their recent history with these Pokemon announcements, we could see it before E3, and Emily Rogers actually stated this over on Reset Era, that we're not going to be waiting too much longer to see an announcement. And generally they do announce this kind of thing before E3. Makes sense. You want to put your name out there. You want to get this out ahead of E3, where Nintendo's going to do their stuff, and the Pokemon Company and Game Freak generally like to kind of do their own thing because they don't want to kind of blend, they don't want their announcement, that's going to be massive, by the way, to kind of blend in with the rest of E3, or maybe Nintendo doesn't want it to kind of overshadow some of the other stuff. Yoshi got completely overshadowed by Metroid Prime 4. Some people forgot about that game because Metroid Prime 4's logo came up right before it. I get it. And now we also have people freaking out about things like Game Freak's Masuda telling people to go buy a Switch now. If you don't own one, go buy one. Basically, guys, you're seeing a lot of this online. You're seeing people go crazy. You're seeing probably a ton of videos pop up in your feeds about this. And here's my advice. You're not going to be waiting too much longer. Seriously, I wouldn't be shocked if we found something out this week. I'm just going to say that. So sit tight. You know, don't get too hung up on any rumors or anything, because trust me, it seems like Game Freak is keeping this very tight-lipped right now, and I wouldn't make too many assumptions, and just get excited because E3 season's almost here, which tells us that they're announcing it anyway. But honestly, you might see a Pokemon Nintendo Direct completely, probably in the next week or so, and that's a guess, but seriously, based on their recent track record with previous announcements ahead of E3, it's probably happening. Next up, let's talk about the NES Classic. It's actually returning. You remember Nintendo kind of talked about this little guy? It was pretty hard to get. People were kind of annoyed, so Nintendo said, hey, we're going to bring this back and you guys can buy it again, which is great because this was valuable at one point. Remember, people were selling it for like $200 or $300 online. It's crazy, right? We're going to be seeing this come back June 29th, actually. It's going to be available for purchase. Nintendo's bringing it back, and they even touched on the Super Nintendo Classic, with that being available till at least the end of the year. This was all shown in a tweet on Twitter that you're seeing here. So get happy if you missed out on the NES Classic because it was just impossible to find for you. Well, you're not going to have to be waiting too much longer. Just get ready for June 29th, okay? Either, I don't know if GameStop's going to do pre-orders or Walmart's going to do something where you line up early or you get tickets and everything. I feel like because it's the same board as the Super Nintendo Classic, it'll probably be the same, really, I guess, availability. They sold a lot of Super Nintendo Classics, right? It was like 5 million or something, over 5 million. That's a lot. So I have a feeling they have the production line down, and they may have even been holding back some Super Nintendo Classics, kind of turning them into Nintendo Classics. So I feel like it'll be a lot easier to find one, but I wouldn't take any chances if you missed out on it last time. Just get ready for June 29th. You know, I'm not saying camp out, but maybe show up early. Next up, let's talk about BitSummit, because it did take place over the weekend. BitSummit is in Japan. It's really for indie games. They kind of celebrate independent games or just smaller games in general. And it's kind of like a big celebration to where it's like a convention and you see developers from all over show up. They show off their games, and they have some big names come there too. Like Platinum Games is considered big there, right? Hideki Kamiya showing up is a big deal for something like BitSummit, and they did show up and they talked quite a bit actually about some projects they have coming up. Apparently, there is a top secret project at Platinum Games that, according to Hideki Kamiya at this panel, could possibly flip the entire action genre on its head. In fact, there are several people right now in Platinum Games that have no idea what this thing is and are keeping it very, very quiet. They seem very excited to show more about that. They're also very excited to show more about things like Bayonetta 3. And Hideki Kamiya even talked about how he's bringing up Wonderful 101. He really wants Wonderful 101 to go to the Switch with some sort of port. I think it's because he's seeing some of the second chances games, like even Tropical Freeze. While that's an amazing game, obviously, it was $10 more. You hear all the outrage online, boom, big sales, right? It's so many games are getting second chances on the Switch that of course you want your game to be moved over, and it sounds like he really, really wants. He's brought it up several times and even made a message on Twitter saying he's even praying for Wonderful 101 to actually go to the Switch. So he's not letting it go, and I can at least understand because it was a game that he really liked. They even made fun of it, saying it should have been called Wonderful 13 because it only probably sold 13 copies, making fun of the sales. But yeah, the Switch could give that game second life. Honestly, I didn't even play it on the Wii U, and I'd give it a chance on the Switch just because of how interesting the Switch is to myself as a portable hybrid system. It really is. It's a pretty cool idea. So yeah, a lot of these games, I would give a chance to it as well. I think many others would. It probably wouldn't do something like Tropical Freeze, but honestly, anything is better than what Wonderful 101 sold back when it came out on the Wii U. We also had Inti Creates at BitSummit, and they introduced a really cool game. If you're a Castlevania fan, an old school Castlevania fan in particular, check this game out. This is called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. It's coming out on a ton of systems. It's coming out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Nintendo 3DS, Vita, yeah, that's right, Vita, and PC. Anyone who backed the Bloodstained Ritual of the Night at the $28 tier or more, you get Curse of the Moon for free. And this game looks fantastic. Seriously, it is an 8-bit nostalgic throwback to the Castlevania type series, and it looks phenomenal. Now, I still need to play it, obviously, to give you my final thoughts on it, but man, this looks like, seriously, an awesome game for anyone who liked the old school Castlevanias, and I am really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really cool, and it gives us a bit of I guess, an appetizer for Ritual of the Night, because, well, that's not coming out for a bit, and this game that I just talked about, Curse of the Moon, is coming out May 24th. They just announced it, and it's coming out in 10 days. That's awesome. I like these announcements. They're like, oh yeah, it's coming out, yeah, a week and a half. Sounds good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and if you did back it at a higher tier, you already technically own it. You just gotta wait for the 24th. We also had Nicalis at BitSummit, and they dropped a ton of surprises on people for their game coming out this summer, 2018, Blade Strangers. Now, it's going to PS4, Switch, and Steam, and it's a very good-looking fighting game. So if you look at it, like the artwork and everything looks great, the animation looks great, and they're just introducing a ton of different characters. Seriously, the main character from Cave Story is there, Isaac from Binding of Isaac, you have Shovel Knight there, and it's just amazing looking. The game looks great. Gunvolt is in this, so man, this is kind of like their own version. Think of like, I guess, a Marvel vs. Capcom where they're bringing all these different characters together. It just looks great overall. It looks like something a fighting game fan would fall in love with here. And Nick Hollis is doing some big things right now. Seriously, if you remember from years ago, we didn't really think of them much, and now they're just putting game after game after game out. And something like Blade Strangers, while I'm not a fighting game fan, I can see a lot of people getting into this one, and it's just, again, them just putting out game after game after game. They've supported the Switch heavily, but just in general, they've been doing great as a publishing company, and it doesn't look like there's much stopping them now with things like Blade Strangers coming out. It's pretty cool to see. Then our last bit of news, let's talk about an Easter egg in Destiny 2, the new expansion that came out, Warmind, where we hear about Destiny 2 in a lot of negative terms, right? We hear about how they're doing throttling the people, microtransactions, all this stuff. But sometimes it's fun to look at a game, look at developers, just having fun and kind of playing around with their community. And they did just that here, in a good way. In a good way. Not like throttling or anything. This was a really, really cool event that kind of unfolded here over the past couple of days. So in Destiny 2 Warmind that came out, they had a bunch of almost puzzles, cryptic references, messages, and people in the game started to look at them and figured out that it was actually pointing to coordinates, latitude, longitude, and they found it. And this is where things get crazy, because this is technically a geocache. It's basically something that these developers left in the real world. That's right, it's an actual item that's left in the real world. And this is crazy because, of course, people went out there, and guess what they found? A YouTuber by the name of Freakopolis Network actually went to the location, and they actually met up with another fan who was there as well. And they not only found a really cool message from the developing team there, but they also found a full life-size Valkyrie weapon from the game that whoever got there first could keep. It looked like they actually took it over the weekend to show off at the store, and then I guess the person who originally found it first was going to, I guess, take it home, put it up on their wall or something. And then there was a whole really container of gold coins where each person would take one, and then they would kind of sign in almost like a book that they had there for being there. And what a cool idea. I know Destiny's gotten a lot of flack over the past year or so, right? I mean, even the expansion that came out seemed to get beaten up pretty good by reviewers and just people online. But this is obviously developers who really like the game and enjoy interacting with their community. And this is just a really cool idea. I just wish they could get their game more on track so that what they're doing here really kind of coincides with what's going on in the game. But I do know in the game, obviously, there is a more corporate feel there. This, to me, seems like kind of the local developers there at Vicarious Visions, just kind of having fun. And I mean, this is not that far at all from their local headquarters, so obviously they were kind of like, hey, let's do something kind of neat with the community, put these gold coins out, we'll put a little book out that they can sign their name, and we'll put this really neat weapon, which, by the way, there's only 3 of those in existence. One of them is at their headquarters, and now somebody else has the other one. So this is really neat to see that. And I mean, I would like to see them, like I said, get their game back on track, but at least they're doing something neat like this. Let me know what you guys think about this, though, down in the comments. Maybe you'd like to see other companies do stuff like this with their fans and everything. You know, I like the idea of kind of bringing Easter eggs that end in the real world with something tangible like this. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the Pokemon leaks that are getting out of control. Seems like it's kind of coming to a head right now, and I think we're going to get an announcement before E3, as most people are kind of alluding to that. And it wouldn't surprise me. I'm just ready for it to be unveiled so people can stop assuming and putting leaks and rumors out. I think we're just ready at this point to find out what this game is, the first home console version of a mainline Pokemon game, and then we can move on to eventually buying it, hopefully later on this year. Also, let me think about all the events that happen at BitSummit. Let me know about the NES Classic, and if you're actually going to be buying one, or attempting to find one, I guess, is the better way to say it. But let me know if you're now interested in picking that one back up, because you weren't able to get it last time. And then tell me about this Destiny 2 Easter egg that happened to end in the real world. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.